We believe that Julian Fantino can be part of that strong voice, that commitment that we have to victims and law-abiding Canadians.
The 11 years where we have been working with victims of extreme violence across this country, I have never met an individual who has a finer sense, who has developed a finer sense of the difference between right and wrong than Julian Fantino.
Mr. Powless is on trial. So Julian Fantino, the commissioner of the OPP at the time,
now running for the Conservatives in Vaughan,
right, writes a letter to Mr. Powless's lawyer, but he addresses it to the court, so it's clearly meant for the court. He calls it the Honorable Court. It's dated December the 4th, 2008. And he says, he defends the man who's facing the charge. And he said, I've known him many times, and much of the conflict, confrontation, and provocation has occurred during the times that Mr. Gary McHale and his followers have converged on Caledonia that invariably resulted in heightened tensions and conflict that has required an extraordinary deployment of police forces in our efforts to preserve the peace. Although I am not in a position to address the specific circumstances that resulted in criminal charges being brought against Mr. Powless, I do feel that but for Mr. McHale's mischief-making forays into Caledonia, the very volatile situation that exists there would not have escalated time and again as it has virtually every time Mr. McHale came to town. I am not making excuses or apologies for Mr. Powless's actions about which he is accused. Not terribly literate, I must say. However, and with respect, the Honourable Court may wish to consider the volatility of the situation and provocation that simply could have been avoided but for the presence of Mr. McHale. And here we have the most senior law officer in the province at the time addressing a judge and saying, it's the victim's fault. Mr. McHale was asking for it.
This is like a banana republic. This
is the single most alarming thing I have ever seen out of this whole thing. I mean, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if he's right. In fact, he was wrong. Most of the violence, 99% of the violence, all the violence I just described of June 9th, the destruction of a hydro transformer that left the area in a blackout for 3 days, the burning of a wooden bridge, as per the cover of the book, the throwing of the van over the overpass, the nightly intimidation, blah, blah, blah. All that happened before Gary McHale ever set foot in that town.
Well, I was going to say, an elderly couple just going to the area, being threatened, terrified, have to go to hospital, rescued by the police, car stolen, police attacked, camera people attacked, vicious violence over and over again. Gary McHale, he's been on the show, he's quite a gentle fellow, goes to the town, provokes some people by his presence. They respond by physically assaulting him. Well,
and the OPP commissioner goes to the defense of the person who beat him up.
I have never met an individual who has a finer sense, who has developed a finer sense of the difference between right and wrong than Julian Fantino.